Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Sweet House. I have with me a voice that has been so transformational in all of our lives, on screen and in song. Tyler Hilton, welcome to The Sweet House.
Thank you.
I am so glad that you're here today, and I'm glad you're practically home in Nashville. We chatted, and he had a show here last night in Nashville, and he said it was very much so like a homecoming because so many of your friends were at the show last night.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's that nerve-wracking feeling when it's like easier to play in front of people that you don't know, and then when everyone comes, it's like added pressure, but it's so beautiful. And the town has changed so much.
Oh, tremendously. Like, I think we all went inside for quarantining and then we came outside to a whole new city. So even in the past 5 years, it's changed so much. How long has it been since you've been in Nashville?
I was here. 2019 is the last time I played here. I was here briefly for a wedding
before.
A few months ago, but it was like in and out for a day. And I remember just briefly seeing the skyline and being like, I don't know where I am. Everywhere we keep driving the last few days for press and stuff, I keep asking Corey, my tour manager, I'm like, what area of town is this? I don't know where we are. Like nothing looks familiar. The buildings are taller and blocking things that I would normally.
The vibe has changed.
I can't orient myself. It's really wild.
Nobody's from here anymore. The vibe has changed. This is a big city now.
Yeah.
It's New York of the South. It replicates Las Vegas when it comes to the bachelorette parties now.
Yes.
This is the place to be.
It's like a new city. Mm-hmm. It's a new city.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And there wasn't a city like this before. Maybe Atlanta a little bit, but it's like a new New York of the South. You know,
that's an interesting topic that there was not a city like Nashville before, because you got New York, which is like extremely busy. I was just there like a week ago and I was like, why does this feel like New Year's Eve? It was so busy. And then you've got LA that's busy, but it's still chill.
But it's like spread out. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's spread out. And then you have Atlanta, like you said, that's always been busy and it's kind of a business mecca. But then you have Nashville that has healthcare and business and tech and music. It's like a mecca of all the things.
Yeah, and I don't know why Atlanta didn't keep. It's been that way for a while, but I don't know why it didn't get bigger and Nashville did. It's really funny,
Yeah.
Because they'd film a lot down there, and I've been there to film a lot, and I've worked down there. But Atlanta definitely became more of the filming place.
Yeah.
I also wonder why Nashville didn't get more of the movie entertainment stuff, and that went to, I guess, maybe tax breaks or something boring that I'm not thinking about. But Nashville really blew up.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you back in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's always fun when we can have superstars like you, because like I said, he has been the soundtrack to like so many of our lives. From One Tree Hill to you playing Elvis on Walk the Line and you doing so many other cool things. I give everyone their flowers when they come on The Sweet House, you've really carved out a career for yourself that's super inspiring.
Thank you.
And now he's a dad, and he and I were just talking about dad life, and also a husband to someone who was also very successful, Megan Park.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of roles, a lot of big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
How are you doing this every day?
It helps if I kind of prioritize what's the most important thing. Like I love that analogy where filling a jar with rocks, and you try to fill it with the big rocks first.
Yeah.
Because there are so many roles, and I've started seeing my life in terms of roles, just so I can know which role is the most important, and I know who to say no to or whatever it is. And I do see like my role as a husband, my role as a dad being the biggest ones first, and then kind of letting everything shift around there. So that's how I make decisions about when I'm touring or how long I'm touring, or if I need to tour, can I not tour this year during this time? And is kind of from the vantage point of like, the family, So I'd taken like 5 years or 6 years off before last summer for that reason, to really get the family going. And Megan's career was taking off and trying to fill in the home holes while she was working and stuff. So we really have to kind of have that back and forth to make it all work. Because having a family is tough.
Yeah.
Even with a steady job. And then with a crazy job, it's even tougher, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a constant juggle and a constant trying to put the puzzle together, but the puzzle never actually comes together. You're still missing pieces.
Yeah, it's like I heard something the other day. It's like having 4 trash cans with 3 lids. Like you're always, you'll never get it all covered.
Yes,
you know?
and you're just moving the lid from like one trash can to the next. That's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. But I want to go back to you saying that you took 5 to 6 years off, because a lot of people don't understand that creatives and artists do need that time, because your brain is doing something magnificent to be able to do the work that you do. It's not a traditional 9 to 5. It's not a traditional, like, I'm doing the same thing every day. It's a constant creative churn in your brain that does require you to take a step back sometimes. So what made you want to take that time off? I know you mentioned that you were trying to let the family do its thing, and then Megan also have her career take off. But I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, I do think it's really healthy, but I wouldn't have had the foresight to do it on my own. I think I want to keep working and I want to keep going. But life keeps on lifing, you know, and it has a way of just kind of putting you on timeout when you need to be on timeout. And the pandemic was a huge part of that. Having kids was a huge part of it. So I didn't choose to and when I say taking time off, I really just mean from being the Tyler of pre-2020, which is on tour all the time, putting out music and stuff. Like, so it just shifted for me. Like, I knew I wanted to take a year off when we had our first kid, Winnie. So I had toured a lot for a couple years before that, and being like, I'm going to take a year off just to get into the rhythm of being a dad for the first time, you know, and whatever, just to see what kind of schedule and everything I would need. I had no idea how to do that. And I just wanted to be open to do it, and then see what room I had left after that to do music. But then of course the pandemic happened, and, you know, we didn't know it was going to be going on for as long as it did. It was always like, 2 more weeks or whatever it is. And so as that continued on, I kept thinking, you know, trying to get other things going that I thought I could do without touring. So like I started a Patreon account where I hang with fans every month on there, and we keep in touch, and we have coffee, and I would do concerts on Patreon, and I actually liked that so much that I still have that and keep that going, because it was so fun. I really thought it was going to be annoying, and it was just kind of a lifeline for me. So I still do that. And I did, you know, I started scoring my wife's movies as her career took off during the pandemic. She was doing all this filming and writing. And so she was cool to let me do the music for that. So I was still in the studio working. And I did do one movie during that time.
Just not your traditional schedule,
but it was just different.
Go.
And then we had another kid. And meanwhile, we moved to Canada at the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm American from California. So I was getting used to so many things, dad life, life as a Canadian, you know, different weather, different culture. And so it was a lot of time spent just changing, you know, like shedding old skin and becoming something new.
Yeah.
So that's
adjusting.
And adjusting. Yeah. And then also writing this book, like this kid's book I did came out yesterday. And this was another random thing that I did during the pandemic, and it took a few years to get to do. I didn't know the process of it, the art and everything, but just another random thing that I started, and it, you know, it's come out now, you know, so.
I love it. I love that you shared you becoming, because a lot of times we don't get to see that. We see the fast thing. Oh, he came out with a new book. He's going on tour, like all of the announcements, but we don't necessarily hear the fact that the becoming part of you, from dad life to trying to find ways to sustain life during the pandemic and all these things, you're constantly adjusting, recalibrating, and becoming to basically cope with it all, because it's a lot. Over the past 5 years, all of our lives have changed so much. And like you said, even moving, they say moving is one of the most stressful things.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and you're
and
constantly
then moving to
moving.
another country and to another like area of the country. And this is not even to mention all the things that I tried and worked on that didn't work out. Like, I mean, I put out an EP. I did scored the movie, did the book, and back out on tour. That's like maybe 4 or 5 things. Like there's like probably 20 or 30 things that I really put a lot of time into that didn't take off or didn't happen, So it's like, there's always that too, but it's all part of the learning and iterating,
Yeah, reiterating over and over again. Well, I want to go back to the beginning because we talked about this before the podcast started rolling, you guys, but I asked him if he always wanted to be a dad, and he said, yes, absolutely. And so I also wonder, I know you've been playing music for a long time, and you've also been an actor for a long time, and dad life is a new role for you. But I wonder, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a musician and an actor, really. Like I knew I would be a musician because a lot of my family played music, and it came naturally to me. And I just really liked it. So I just knew that I would do something in music, that's where my passion was and maybe my edge was. I could kind of tell that it came easier to me than other people. And so something in there I was going to do. But along the way, I got really into being in theater and stuff like that all throughout school. And I loved it. And my grandpa was in plays and my uncles were in plays. And every time I would go see them do stuff, I was like, I want all of this,
Yeah. And this was all in California.
Yeah. And so I just I just wanted to do that. So any chance I could.
Yeah.
The hard thing is I was actually like really shy. So even though I felt like a lot of it came naturally to me and I wanted to do the work and the art part, it was hard for me to be up in front of people. And it felt embarrassing to like ask for attention. It's a bummer when what you love to do requires you to ask other people to give you their full attention. That's embarrassing,
Such an interesting.
Like as an artist, if you're like, I'm going to paint this, I need everyone to look at me doing this. It's like
same.
tough,
So as an influencer, it's always been hard because I set the blueprint. I mean, I started doing this over a decade ago, and everyone thought we were just these vain people that wanted people to look at us. And it's like, no, we're actually very talented people. A lot of business owners, actors, singers. I mean, influencers come in every shape, form, or fashion. But it's like, we're saying, look at me. And so I completely understand that too, because it's like, well, at the same time, you're asking people to give you the attention so that you can do what you love.
Yeah, which always feels kind of weird. And I think that's where I got embarrassed, is I'd be like, well, but it is like it is what I love to do. I think I continue to like get better at it. And that's like why I want to make it worthwhile if I'm going to ask people to like give me their time. And so I want to keep getting better forever,
Yeah.
So.
How old were you when you started music? And did you self-teach yourself how to play guitar? And what did that journey look like for you?
I was singing a lot really young, I guess, according to my parents, like learning like Happy Birthday and the Star Spangled Banner, any of that stuff I could, and singing it a lot. So I think I just like wanted to sing a lot. And I got into karaoke tapes early on, where you could have a karaoke machine and buy all the karaoke tapes. You can sing
back
along.
In the day,
and that was like such a big thing for me, because I loved Frank Sinatra. I loved Elvis. I loved like classic singers. And so I could get their tapes and be the one singing, and I loved that. And there was this ice cream parlor. So I'm from Palm Springs, California, and there's a very like entertainment adjacent culture there, because it's 2 hours from LA. So a lot of like it's also got like a big gay culture. So for whatever reason, there's a lot of like show tunesy kind of theater things in Palm Springs, which there isn't really in LA, but Palm Springs really gets that. So there was this like ice cream shop called Broadway Joys, and this woman Joy ran this ice cream shop. This is so weird to actually even think about. I forgot all about this. And then there was a stage in it, and it was where kids could come and eat ice cream and sing show tunes, which
Yeah.
now that I think about it, it's like, what a wild business model. But like, it just was so natural for me.
It would thrive in Nashville, actually.
Probably.
So.
And I would go there and a bunch of other kids. I mean, a lot of people that became big entertainers too. Like it was myself and Allison Lohman, who became a big actress, and Aubrey O'Day, who was in Danity Kane.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of us as kids would go there and be like, give my regard, or whatever, and I would sing Frank Sinatra stuff. I didn't really do like, but it was wild. And so there was a lot of that. And I just kind of plugged myself into that community and in Palm Springs, and it helped me, but I loved it.
It's so cool that the community cultivated that entertainment in children so that you guys could get an early start into what that looked like.
Yeah,
so,
and find each other.
Yeah, because I'm sure you guys still have those relationships even now.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Elvis because not only, so One Tree Hill was like a really huge thing for all of us.
Yeah.
But then you also played Elvis on Walk the Line. And when you look back at the roles that you've played, which would you say has stayed with you the most? Because you mentioned Elvis as being somebody that you epitomized as a child. So I'm just wondering. Because I know One Tree Hill was like a big part of your life too.
Yeah, there was a few roles that like really were, and they become part of me too. I don't know, if it's like you bring a lot of who you are to the role, and then the role kind of sticks around in you. I mean, Elvis was a big one because it was huge for me because I don't know if I would have done film and TV professionally if it wasn't for Walk the Line, because I was too afraid to mix the two. Once I started being professional, I thought, if I'm going to do music, you got to pick a lane. And I remember this theater teacher I had, and I went to had a really good theater department in my high school, and this teacher was ruthless and so good, and so many people came out of that program as well. And it was just really professional. I feel like a lot of kids just wanted to like lightly take theater. We're just like, but what is this? Serious. In fact, on the others, we had a great football team, and I was horrible at football, and I wish we had a worse football team so I could have participated more, but the football team was so good that I never played, Same thing with the theater. It was like, if you were just there casually, it wasn't for you, but people like me who were like, I'm here, but she told me, she was like, you can't serve two masters. And she would always, I started playing music professionally like 14 or 15. So I was playing gigs. I was really trying to do that. And at the same time, I was starring in the plays and the productions there. And I would sometimes have a gig, or I'd have to cancel the gig and do theater rehearsal. And our practices were like, oh my God. I mean, school went till 3 or 3:30. And then we rehearsed sometimes from 4 p.m. till sometimes 10 o'clock at night. Like the rehearsals were so long. And if we were doing a musical, it was like dance stuff, singing stuff, and acting stuff. And it was ruthless. It was great for us, but she would be like, you have to pick a lane. Like you can't do both. And so that really stuck with me. So when they offered me Walk the Line, I'd said like, that was one of the big reasons I said no. Cause I was like, I got signed, I got a record deal. It's so hard to do that. And I want to focus on that. So anyway, a lot of things ended up happening. I ended up saying yes to the movie, but if it wasn't because of my love of Elvis, I wouldn't have, and that wouldn't have launched that whole film and TV side of my career. So that was really important. But yeah, I mean, being on One Tree Hill and being that character, Chris Keller, was like the biggest thing I ever did. Like that character and that show sticks with people to this day.
It does.
And at my shows, so many people have tattooed quotes from that character, or, that it's crazy. It's like become part of so many people's lives, and it's like iconic, I guess, to people who like
definitely
whatever.
Iconic.
It's like,
yeah. I mean, how cool is that you got to be a part of
wild.
A movement like that?
No, it's so wild, and it's so random because you can't see it coming. You don't know what is going to be that. You just happen to get on. It's like you get on a bus every day, and then one day you get on a bus that's like this crazy magic, but you would have no idea, and it's become, and even since the pandemic, like the show was big before, but then, during the pandemic, like it got so much bigger. Yeah. Why? I don't know. Like there's so many other TV shows out there. Like how?
Well, because it reignited the initial artistry, and there's a whole new generation that's interested in what you guys created.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, it's really awesome.
Crazy. Yeah, it's so fun. And I like love that it's that character because he's like, it gives me permission to be like so crazy and have so much fun with it because it's like, okay, you know what I mean? It would have been such a bummer if it was like the character was like this really serious, like, you know, it'd be like, okay, that's what everybody liked. But it's like everyone likes this like wild dude that I was on TV. It's like awesome. You know?
Are you that dude in real life?
Probably a little bit, but I don't think like, you know, to the extent. I think I had so much fun with it because you were getting paid and given permission to just be this guy that like I would never have you know, the courage to be in real, it's just who wants to be that cringe? It's crazy, but to get to be paid to be that way, it's like, there's something in me that's like, yes.
Yeah, you get to live out your wildest dream too.
And just be like so hilarious and annoying. There's something about that really like makes me laugh, you know?
Well, to me, that's always the interesting part of being an actor is that you get to play somebody that you get to be in character of somebody that you're completely not. So it's really cool to see. But I do want to go back to...
you know what? Sorry, you just made me think about, I always like wonder, not to like cut you off, but I always wonder like why a lot of times opposites, like people who have opposite personalities play, like a lot of times really nice people I've met play really bad guys and vice versa. People that are really
cathartic.
Weird. And I wonder too if it's like their enthusiasm to be that other character, maybe because they aren't that way, is what makes them so good at playing it.
Yeah.
And I'm so enthusiastic about playing people like Chris Keller or like bad guys because it's like, oh, I would never do that, you know, and it's exciting to do it.
But there's a side of you that wishes that you could.
Wishes I could in some way, or is like, or just thinks it's so exciting to do it within the safety of like where no one's going to get hurt. And I'm, you know, it's just, so anyway, it's just funny.
Yeah, it is cool. But I mean, it helps all of us stay in a place of imagination too.
Yeah.
So all of the fans, we're loving it. So, and obviously still loving it all these years later.
Wild.
I mean, isn't it wild? I mean, even when you think about Elvis, he is no longer here, hasn't been here for decades. And he's still, I mean, Graceland is still the most visited house. It's crazy. And I read one of your Facebook posts from like a long time ago when you were talking about filming in Memphis at Graceland. Yeah. And you guys were, I guess, at night doing something near the grave.
Yeah.
I want you to tell the people about that scene because when I was reading your Facebook post about it, it kind of just gave me chills.
Dang, it was so cool. So like the producer of the movie, he was married to Jane Seymour, the actress, and she is friends with Priscilla Presley. And when she was on set, Jane was on set one day, who's still a really close friend of mine. She was like, you know, Priscilla was saying, if you guys want to come do a private tour of Graceland, like she would totally open it up for you guys. And I'm a huge fan. And at the time, I was probably only, you know, 10 years away from the first time I ever went to Graceland and like became obsessed with Elvis. So I'm like, yeah, like you guys, we're doing this. Like, let's do this. You know, I'm not a star of the movie, but I want to be like, let's make this happen. Yeah. So Joaquin during the movie really wanted to like bro out with all the guys that were friends in the movie. So the guy who played Jerry Lee and myself and, his band. So he was like, let's do it like as a group, you know, like let's just us guys go there. And Jane's like, yeah, she can open it up at night for you guys. And I'm like dying, like, because I also knew that Elvis was nocturnal. So his Graceland was night Graceland, you know, not day Graceland. So I'm like, oh my God, like we're going to go to Graceland at night. No one's going to be there. And so we go there and they open up the gates and stuff and it's absolutely magical. And the guys kind of all wander off and go do this thing. And they kind of like are taking a tour with the docent that opens it up for us. And myself and this guy named Waylon Payne, who's such a great singer. And he played Jerry Lee Lewis. He and I really got close. And he's like, was kind of always like suggesting things and getting me into trouble and stuff in a fun way. And he'd be like, you know, why don't we go over there to the grave, just you and I? And I brought my guitar for some reason. And he was like, let's get your guitar out and let's just sing some songs to Elvis. And I was like, that's the best idea I've ever heard of my life. So like while Joaquin and the other group is like taking a tour, like Waylon and I take my guitar out and we literally sit by Elvis's grave at night. And we start just like singing songs to him. And at one point we start singing Amazing Grace, and like all the guys who had been taking the tour, and they're all musicians, you know, that they'd cast for these different roles. They kind of like filter out of the tour in different areas of the house, and they all like gather around us, and we're like singing Amazing Grace at night at Elvis's grave in Graceland. And it was just like unbelievable, an unbelievable experience. Jane was there, and yeah, just like something I'll never forget. It's like an ultimate Elvis fan experience that you could never pay for or anything. It just happened, you know?
Yeah, I had to have you tell that story in person, because when I was reading it, I was like, how cool is that you got that experience? It's almost like you actually got to be a part of the Graceland that he was a part of, even though he's not there. But again, like the legacy it keeps on giving, kind of like how you were talking about with One Tree Hill. It's like now a hot thing again, even after the pandemic. So yeah,
it is. You know, that's like the coolest thing about getting to do what I do is like, there are so many moments like that you can never plan for, that I feel so lucky to be a part of. Like, I don't know if it's that. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's so special. I've actually forgot about that. So I'm so glad you reminded me of that moment, because it's like those kind of moments I have to like hold on to, because they're so beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
It's like really cool that went down.
Are those the moments that keep you inspired? You talked a bit about how you had some no's or some things that you tried that didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when we see stars, famous people, we're like, their life must be perfect and everything is just constantly a good headline for the most part. But we do know in artistry that a lot of times the things that you want to happen don't come into fruition. So did these moments keep you inspired?
Yeah, it's like inspiration is so funny, because it's only like, it's like a recipe. It's like one small part you, and then a huge part like universe and not you. And I think a lot of the things that don't work are things that I'm trying to like force through, or square peg round hole. And what moments like that remind me is like, there's just a huge dose of universe and things that you don't have control of that are going to be making the magic happen. And, you know, so there's like a big degree of letting go. And, you know, as like a creative, but also technically we're both like small business owners, that you have to have this other hat on, and you want to be like, well, I want, what's next? You're going to be like, you know, you have to have a certain amount of plans, but then it's scary, because you also have to be like, there's a huge degree of letting go and just being like, what is going to happen? You know, like I didn't think I was ever going to be on tour again. I thought I was going to stay home and do the dad thing. And I was kind of okay with people just like, I was a thing on the road, and now I'm not, you know, like there's room for other people, but the universe is like different plans, you know, like, so now I'm learning more that like what inspiration is to lightly have a direction and loosely have plans, but be like ready to throw those plans out, just like interview questions or anything, like at any time. Like like we all have our prepared questions for life, but the conversation might not go that way. The conversation can go a whole different way. Yeah. And at the time I used to be like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this, you know, in that metaphor with life. And now I'm like, whatever, man, let's go that way. Because looking back, the magic was all the stuff that I didn't plan, you know? Yeah.
You have such a chill spirit. So I mean, from the moment you walked in the door today, I felt it. And it's very comforting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And as another creative small business owner, I feel like I needed that inspiration today. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure a lot of people that are listening also need to hear that, because so much of what we do is not in our control. And as artists, you just keep trying stuff. It's almost like you're throwing paint at the wall to see what the final masterpiece is going to be. So,
totally. And starting something and not knowing how it's going to end. I mean, that's so scary.
Yeah, it's so scary. It's so scary. Have there been any moments where you're like, I can't. I'm not going to do this. I want to quit. Like, I can't.
Oh my gosh, all the time. And in fact, last year, Corey, my tour manager who we were talking about, he was like, we took like maybe 5 years off, you know, and he was out there with me before. And at some point last year, he was like, why don't we just try putting a couple shows on sale just to see if anybody will come. And I was like, I keep joking with him. It's like a soldier. I kept wanting to be like, leave me behind. Don't even worry about it. Just like move on without me. Like I'm dead.
Is this a Forrest Gump moment or something?
And he was like, let's just try it, And so we put a couple shows on sale and they sold out so quickly. And I was like, what? Like, what is going on? And they went great. And I felt great doing them. I thought like, oh man, like I'm a dad now, I'm older. Like nobody wants any part of this. And it's been some of the best shows ever. And so I just kind of kept being like, okay, like, should we book more? Should we book more? And we've done a world tour that will be ending in June. We will have done Europe, Australia, all over North America. And it's been unbelievable. Like one of the best years of touring I've ever had, just of like, in terms of fan response, how connected and grateful I feel. I mean, this isn't the tired old road dog of 2019 who'd been touring for almost 20 years and was like, let's do another show. I mean, I love it, but this is me like 5 years later being like, oh, I can't believe people came to this, like so giddy, to be up there.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that,
But I think what sounds like has driven it is the passion that you have now in all of the different roles that you've lived, from, being a musician to an actor to being a husband and then also a dad, which I want to talk about because I want you to tell us what dad life is like on the road, because you've got two, Winnie and Bennett. And I mean, what's it like to know that you're out here living your dream and that they get to watch that?
It's hard because they don't care about my dream. I mean? And they like, and I don't know if I would be doing it if it was just a dream, because I really do feel like my biggest role is to be there for them. But it is like work, and it's good work, and it makes money, and like I have a new purpose to making money now, like before I've never really cared about money. I've always like put it back into the project, like never needed much, and never thought in terms of that really. But with kids, I started seeing money as meaning security, and for them and for their future and for us, and what if I can't work? And so I became motivated in this whole other way to, that's what keeps me going on the road as well. Like,
to give them a quality of life.
Exactly. I feel like, wow, like I will do this, and I will do this for the amount of time I'm doing it for them. And it is a lot of fun, and it's all those things too. But during the times that it's not, which is a lot, because it's a lot of work, a lot of travel, a lot of wear and tear on the body and health and stuff like that. But what keeps me out doing it is it's like, I'm lucky to have it, and I am lucky to get paid for it, and it's good work for them, and I wouldn't be making as much if I was home. So that's where Megan and I have to really like realize that, we live in this small town in Canada, and anytime we want to make money, we have to leave that town. So we don't work in town with the kids. So we have to negotiate between each other. Okay, you're leaving for this. I'll be home. I'm leaving. So the real reason I'm able to be out here is because Megan is such a pro and such a rock star to be home with both kids while I'm away, which is way harder.
She's also extremely successful. So I just want you guys to know that, like, knowing that she's a working mom and so am I is also really inspiring. And that you guys my husband and I do the same thing. We're working in tandem to like help each other build this empire that essentially is going to take care of my kids. So
totally. And it's all goes into it. It is truly, there's no business that isn't a family business, actually. You know what I mean? If it's like,
everybody's playing an instrument to make this soundtrack.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I do want to ask, so Megan is from Canada.
Yeah.
And so is this her hometown that you guys moved back to?
Yes.
What
London,
made you
Ontario.
decide to go there?
Again, it was just random. Like we knew we wanted to move. The house we were in was too small for all of us when we had a kid. Yeah. And so we knew we were going to sell it and move in LA.
Yeah.
But during the pandemic, things got crazy in LA. It was during the riots and the protests. And we were like, okay, we should move to a better area. We were like in a hip artist area, which all of a sudden when you're in a hip artist area and you have a kid, you're like, I don't want any hipness. I don't want any artistic stuff. Like, I don't want any edge. I just want like, you know, I want parks. I want safety. Like everything shifts, you know? So we're like, we'll sell the house and we'll move to London just for a bit temporarily, get some help from her mom while everything's shut down and we're not working, and then we'll find a new house in LA and we'll move back. We just never moved back. So we're still like temporarily living in London, Ontario, but we've been there for like 5 years and we're loving it. So every, you know, few months we'll be like, should we move? Like now we're working again and everything's open, and we'll be like, let's talk about it in another 3 months or 6 months. And so we're kind of been in that mode for a few years now, but it's been great. And the people of this city are awesome. And I'm like, they've endeared themselves to me. I love it, you know? So it's
are you
cool.
the big time celebrity? Do they know who you are, and are they obsessed with you in this town?
I don't know. I've made a lot of friends. There's a lot of like One Tree Hill fans, and I don't know if I even knew that people knew who I was there. And I was felt like an outsider until on tour. When I was touring Canada, they booked me in this like historic venue in London. It's like, it's a really great music town. And this place is called Aeolian Hall. And I'd always heard about it, and I'd always wanted to play there because it was historic. And they booked me a show there, and I thought, I think this is too big of a venue for me in London. I don't know if anyone knows who I am here. And we booked it, and it sold out. And it was so emotional for me because I was on stage looking out being like, these are like all my neighbors or whatever, you know, like I live here, like who are you all, you know? And it made me feel like, it made me like really love the town more because I felt like, I mean, it all sounds kind of dumb, but it's just, it's all like a little egotistical and emotional, whatever, but it felt like, oh, like this town is like, I've got supporters here, you know, like
they've seen my work.
And I didn't know that at the time. So, but everyone I've met there, I just like love. And
I don't see it as egotistical at all. Maybe because I'm another creative that also understands.
It just meant a
fandom.
lot, you know,
like I see it as a level of humility to be able to walk into a theater. And I know people use imposter syndrome as the word of choice for this, but like to walk into a theater and think, oh my gosh, I don't know that I'm going to feel this up. And then because you're feeling almost like, you know, who am I? And what have I done to like, you know, and where am I in my life at current to be able to have this sort of audience? And then when they all come, it is an emotional transaction. Because it's like everything came into fruition that you didn't even necessarily 100% believe. And like going to my daughter's school or at the grocery store, different places, people were saying like, oh, I saw that you're playing Aeolian Hall. Like I got tickets or whatever. And it was like the first time that I felt connected to the town in like a work way. Cause I always felt like I was just hiding there or something. And then I didn't know if anyone knew or what I was doing or cared or whatever. And so it's cute. It honestly like, it was like a cool moment, but I've loved like everyone I've met there. And I love that's an authentic story right there. The fact that you are this global superstar, in our opinion. And I always ask people if they feel like when people sit in this chair, I always ask them, do you feel like you've made it? And I've interviewed so many different people, and no matter how big or how high they've gotten in their careers, everyone still shares that level of, I'm not sure. Like I think so, but I've had my head in the weeds doing the works for so long that, and I'm and as an artist, I don't know what the full picture is. That I haven't even had the capacity to grasp like what's actually taking place here. So it is interesting to think about, but I love that you shared it, and I'm so grateful that you shared it. Because I think it's interesting because we set these benchmarks and we're not sure if we're ever going to reach them, but it's nice to know that even people of your stature also still experience these thoughts of wondering if we are enough or if we've done enough. So I love it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I want to talk about Winnie and how she inspired this book, Daddy Live in Concert. From what I read, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Winnie, you were doing concerts for Winnie at home during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so,
oh my gosh,
that turned into this book, Daddy Live in Concert, which, by the way, you guys, is amazing. It's just such a cool story because Winnie's so excited to see you. And my daughter is the same way. When I show her, when I'm looking back at the podcast and I'm picking out social media clips for the team, my daughter Rain, she says, "Oh my gosh, Mommy, that's you." And it's really cool that she gets to see me in my element.
Yeah.
And so for you to write a book like this from her perspective, but she's attending your concert in the living room. It's so cool. And I'm sure you don't know this, but I worked at iHeartMedia during the pandemic, and we did lots of living room concerts. So when I was reading this book, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes me think about my iHeart days when we literally were like working with artists to do living room concerts. So to save the world and keep the world in a positive mindset. So this is like, this book is saving a lot of kids because it's all of the parents are getting in the living room doing living room concerts. My daughter and I and my husband, we dance every day. We have a concert every day. Wow. It's part of keeping parenthood fresh, part of keeping parenthood active, because sometimes people think parenthood is so tedious and they forget that we can be artists for our kids too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's so true. That's why I love the I love that show Bluey because and one of the things I was trying to do with, or I guess unconsciously with this book is like, I love when you're being entertained by something that's also giving you an idea of what you can do with your kids. And that's what I love about that show, is because every episode it's like, it's beautiful and it's funny and it's entertaining, but it also like inserts these ideas of like, this is a great idea to do with your kid. And I'm always getting so many ideas from Bluey. Like, that's genius. Like, I need to do that. You know what I mean? I love that.
It's not just changing diapers or sitting them in front of a TV and expecting
it's like games, because it's so much time to fill, it's like an audience. It's like doing a show for 12 hours a day or whatever it is. It's
what's
like, how do you keep it
crazy
entertaining?
is it's so much time to feel, but it goes so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I dropped my 3-year-old off this morning, and she's usually like up in arms when I drop her off at school. And this morning she's like, "Bye, Mom."
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, "Oh no, here we go." I'm like, "No, I don't like it. It's making my heart hurt."
I know. That's the hardest thing about parenting. I've realized is like, I want to, it's so easy to be not selfish, but so easy to be so into being a parent and into the love that they give you that you want to hold on to that forever. And it's so hard to remember that your role as a parent is to raise them to their independence. Like success is them not needing you. And that is so counterintuitive to like also loving them so much. And it's something I have to remember all the time. Cause like, for instance, being away, I want to call them all the time and I want to see their face. Like, answer the FaceTime. I want to see your face. And so much of the time they're like, "No, that's boring. I don't want to," and I have to tell myself like, are you trying to get them on the phone for you or for them? Like, is it harder for them to see your face right now? What do they want? I always have to ask myself that as a parent when I'm home too. Like, are you doing this for yourself or them? And I've had that moment too, where I'm like, dang, I really liked it when she was crying when I dropped her off, and it's like so hard when they don't need you. And you're like, no, that means you did it right. When they don't need that anymore. It's so tough.
It is tough. But tell us about Daddy Live in Concert.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I played a lot of music for her and concerts for her. And this idea just, came to me at some point. Like, what if, like, she doesn't know I'm a musician, that I tour the world and stuff. Like, I could just be any dad. And like, she thinks, for a while anyway, before she was annoyed at me singing at her all the time. And then she's like, there was a period where she was like, "Do not sing. I don't even want to hear you sing ever again." But for a while there, she was like, "Oh my gosh, like how lucky am I to like get this concert by this incredible musician?" And I wasn't doing anything incredible. I was just like, the wheels on the bus, Then I just thought like, oh, I could be any dad, any parent. And what if that kid was like, tonight I'm going to the biggest concert in the whole world. Like, the best rock star ever is playing in my living room. It's my dad or my mom, And And so that's why I wrote the book from that perspective. She has to like pick out the perfect pajamas. She's got her ticket and her seat in the front row, and all her stuffed animals are there at the show. And and it just came from me playing. I did a lot of concerts for Winnie, but then during that second shutdown, when all the kids were home from school, I started doing live streams on Instagram for my fans. A lot of them are parents and they have little kids. And so I was doing these kid concerts for them, and it was so fun with the stuffed animals and the whole thing. And I thought, this is one of the things I tried where I was like, is this dumb? And I thought maybe I'd do a couple and then I would get some DMs like, don't do that, man. You know? And instead everyone was like, my kid is riveted. Like, please do this every week. And so I kept doing it. And the response was like, never stop this. My kid is glued to the screen. And I never would have guessed. I thought, oh, wow, this is such a cool thing. So parents, if you're out there and you know a few chords on guitar, you can play every kid song there is with like 3 chords, like learn them and they will be riveted. You know, it's crazy. So
yeah, you mentioned the Wheels on the Bus in the book, and that's one of Rain's favorite songs. I think we sing it every day. And Old MacDonald, isn't it crazy how both songs have been like generational? I mean, from our parents, like these songs have come a long way. So yeah,
I had to relearn them for her.
Yeah.
I started keeping a set list of kids songs because I was like, wait, which ones does she? And then I actually had to write out the verses. Like, okay, there's beep beep beep, there's swish swish swish, there's people go up and because there's so many verses, but it was so important to her to like, you know, it's funny to like relearn that stuff again. But I'm actually doing a kids album now that I learned them all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
we get a special treat, you guys.
Yeah, I'm like halfway through it now. It's like 15 songs.
Yeah.
And I'll finish it when I get home from the road this summer. But because I thought
Well,
they're in my head. I know them. Let's do an album and we'll have a kids album of them all, you know.
Yeah. Will Winnie be on the album?
Yeah, I'm going to get her and her friends. I've got some parts. They haven't recorded them yet that I need them to do either screams or sing-alongs here and there on different songs. So
yeah. You know the part on Wheels on the Bus when it says the mommy goes, shh.
Yeah.
I'm like, why does the mom have to be the bad guy? Why can the dad not be the bad guy?
I know.
I'm like, why does the mom have to be the authoritative?
I always change it to the daddy after the mom will go show up. The daddy goes or kisses or gives her a high five, and I'm like, it's so funny if the mom was like that.
I know. I'm like, it's not right. I'm like, throw all the moms under the bus then. I do want to go back to your relationship with Megan, because I was reading this article and you mentioned that that it's just amazing, and you said all I had to do was show up and do what she said when it comes to working with her. And so this kind of dynamic is very interesting because you've kind of been the one that's the superstar. And so now when it came to working on her movie, she has a movie called My Old Ass, by the way, you guys.
Yeah.
And he did the score for the movie. And so when you say all you had to do was show up and do everything she told you to do, what's it like working with a powerhouse woman who's an incredible wife, a mom, and also just killing it in her career?
I think I think it's important to know like who's in charge or who's got the vision for certain projects. And it's important for me to sometimes be in charge, have a vision, tell people what to do, and also know when it's time to do what someone else says. And like when I'm an actor, I really try to listen to the director, and they are the one that's in charge. You know, you do what they say. That's how I see it. And with Megan, from the first short film that she wrote, it was so good. And she decided to fund this short film herself. And as she directed it, it was unbelievable. And she wanted me to do the music for it. And she told me what kind of music she wanted. And I did it. And when I saw the whole thing come together, I thought, this girl is unbelievable at this. Like she has the full vision. She's the full package. The script was amazing. She directed it well. I didn't know she had that in her. She didn't know she had that in her. So she started doing movies after that. And My Old Ass is she did one called The Fallout, which is about a school shooting that's with Jenna Ortega. That's unbelievable. And I did some of the music for it. And then Phineas, who produces all the Billie Eilish stuff, did the score for that. And then with My Old Ass, I did the full score. And then every time I watched her do a project, I realized she knows what she's doing. Like there's some times where people are like, what do I do here? I don't know. And she'll ask when she doesn't know, but she has the full picture. So that's when I realized too, like if she wants me to do the music for it, it's not about me being like this is what I hear. It's like, what do you hear? And she has these really cool ideas. Like she said from My Old Ass, like, I want the score to sound like a classic movie like My Girl or like Casper or something from the 90s that's like part of our childhood. I don't want it to sound like, like quirky and indie, which is like, would be the instinct for that kind of quirky, funny indie film would be like something that's a little more, I don't know, like ukulele or whatever. She's like, no, I want this to sound like a full score from like a classic childhood movie. So we went like, classical sounding piano, clarinets, cellos, like strings. Like we made it like, we tried to make it sound like an Academy Award winning movie as opposed to like a, who's that girl from New Girl? Zooey Deschanel movie. I don't know why I just think of the score for that as something like with a xylophone and like a ukulele. She was like, no, I want this to sound like lush and like orchestral. And I thought that was such a cool thing. So she would say, change this. I love that. And I just head down, did what she said. And she was right. Every time I watch the movie, it like kills me. And she just had such an instinct for it.
Yeah. Well, how cool was that you guys were able to work together for such a beautiful product when it was all said and done? What marriage advice do you have to give for us?
I think you have to keep communicating and keep like reworking the whole thing because everyone changes. So like who you start out as, you won't end up as, That's why in a lot of ways I see that like it's not crazy to me that there were arranged marriages at one point, because it's almost like who you fall in love with is the initial spark for the fire, but to keep the fire going, you need different tools. You have to like, you have to communicate, you have to get to know who the new person is. I mean, over the course of decades and decades together, you change so much, know? So I think like being willing to lead if you need to, being willing to follow if you need to. And just staying curious about who that new person is, I think is like really important, Well, that seems like it's been a really collaborative dynamic for you guys that's working. And I'm grateful to have read that story too, because I think it's beautiful, like I said, that she's a working mom and you're a working dad, and we don't give working dads enough credit. So I'm going to give you your flowers for working dad life too, because I think it's all, working moms, which is wonderful, but working dads it's hard for you guys too. I appreciate you saying that. And I actually like know, because we were talking before, like being a dad was the most important thing to me ever. Like ever since I was young, like I always wanted to be a dad, and I really wanted to be a good dad, That's not to say that I will be or I am, but I want to be, And I've met a lot of dads like that. And I just see from my perspective that a lot of the times that doesn't get as much light. It's a smaller subset in culture of like dads who really want to be good dads and struggle with that as their thing. And I get really inspired, and I know a lot of people that are in entertainment that is their main thing, and I get a lot of advice from them.
100%.
It's not celebrated, or whatever.
No, but I think that your book, Daddy Live in Concert, and just your whole career epitomizes that you actually want to be more than just a provider, but also a dad. Like you actually want to be present in that way. So that's why I'm like, let's celebrate you and all the other dads.
That's cool.
And it's funny because I told you I was in New York at CBS with my sister, and my sister's band is all men and they're all dads. And one of them took his son out of school for the day so he could come to CBS with us. And he's a teenager, and he was on set watching his dad play drums for my sister. And I thought that was so cool for him to do that and really embody dad life while he's working, so that he can see, yes, I'm a provider, but I'm also a nurturer. And I don't think that you guys as dads get that narrative very much. So that's another reason why I was like, I have to interview him and we have to talk about this, because I want to share that with the world. Yeah.
And I think as roles continue to evolve and change, like women are increasingly providers, you know what I mean? And a lot of times, like more so than the men, are getting the opportunity to be there emotionally for their kids more. There's a lot. I was a stay-at-home dad for like 5 years while Megan was working. And there's a lot of men, especially during the pandemic and beyond, that are either choosing that because it's the best thing for their family or having to take up that role because of circumstances. And I think we see that now more than ever. And it's a really strange role because as a man, there can be either some shame or some embarrassment around that, but it's really about looking at the family and being like, what does the family need? Hypothetically, if you're a man right now and you're making X amount of dollars, and your wife stays home, if she got the opportunity to make 5X, what do? You know what I mean? That's a conversation you guys have to have. And both of you have to like, just change your mindset about who am I now for the family? What are you doing it for? And it's different, you know what I mean? And you don't see it a lot in,
well, that's unsolicited marriage advice. And I definitely think it's valuable marriage advice, family advice to be able to play musical chairs for whatever occasion. It's like, just be ready to shift when the music changes. Yeah. So, I
think that's cool. I mean, I think that brings in the most, resources for the family and also gives everyone a chance to kind of be with the kids. It's funny, like with Megan and I, she'll be gone sometimes, I'll be gone sometimes. And like, I think it's cool for the kids to have, sometimes it's like dad's world a little bit and sometimes it's mom's world, which are different, but consistent in some ways, but of course they're going to be different, and it's cool that they get that,
Yeah. Well, so once you finish this tour, you're going to have the children's album. Are you going back on tour with the children's album right away? Or what's next for you?
It would be so cool. Like if I could play 3 p.m. shows for kids instead of like 9 p.m. shows for adults, I'd be like into that life. I don't even know what a kids tour looks like, but we saw the Wiggles. We've seen a bunch of concerts with Winnie and I'm like, what a joyous touring atmosphere it is to have an audience of kids.
We saw Bluey live. It was one of the best shows. Yeah, Bluey came to Nashville and it was one of the best shows we've ever been to. I mean, it was such a great experience. It was interactive. All the kids and the parents had a good time.
Yeah, we did Paw Patrol live and we did some other ones too. It is so fun. And I'm always like, I never in a million years, like 10 years ago, would have seen myself having so much fun, but I'm just like smiling ear to ear.
Yeah.
They're like usually like a quick hour or something. They're like really short concerts and they're so fun, It's
no,
really
100%. Okay, so I'll have just a few more questions for you.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what do you do for self-care and your unwind time while you're on tour, or is Corey driving you crazy?
No, Corey keeps it so great. Oh my gosh. He's the best buffer. Unwind time. So I've been running a lot now. Like I haven't been during the pandemic. Like I used to jog a lot. Like I did a couple marathons when I was younger, and I hadn't done it in years. And then during the pandemic, I had all these dreams about like, I miss running. I miss being outside. And it had been like a decade or more since I really did it. And so I've decided slowly to just get back into running and taking it really easy on my body, but I try to do it every day, even if it's a short run, and maybe do like 1 or 2 longer runs if I've got a day off on the road. But I really been forcing myself to do it, and it's been so life-changing for me, like on this tour. It's so easy to not do it. Oh my gosh. But to get outside for a little bit of time. Like I told you today, I went on a little 15-minute jog this morning when I got up. So I didn't get to have coffee before I came in, and just being outside, feeling the sun, just getting outdoors. There's something about it that's really hard to do on the road. And it's been this little unlock for me that I just like really appreciate. And it just gets like blood flowing. It really like helps me out. So that's been, and it helps me sleep better because it's hard to get to sleep after you're wound up on stage. Yeah. So that's been something that's been working.
It's an energy exchange. When you're on stage and you've got the audience that's like pouring all this energy into you, it's almost like you have to come down from that.
Yes. So and it used to be like, there would be like party substances that would help get up, get down, and I like don't do any of that stuff anymore. And so to kind of just ride it naturally and just kind of feel it, like running has been like hugely helpful for me.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then Netflix, you know what I mean? Just like trying to turn your brain off, but there's so much, and laugh. I mean, we laugh a lot on the road. So it's like, it's just fun being around friends.
Yeah. And we chatted a little bit about this before the podcast started, but you actually drive a lot on the tour.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that definitely helps you to
It does.
Yeah.
I love to drive, and it's so relaxing for me, and I hate doing emails and that kind of stuff. And so thankfully, like Corey's up for doing a lot of the work and stuff while I'm driving, and he'll like answer emails and do stuff like, when do you want to do this, at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock? And I could just drive like 10 o'clock, but it's relaxing for me to just not have to think about anything other than the road. And it's just very simple, and it's what's in front of me. And it's very meditative to me. And so, and the rest of the day, meeting fans and stuff, it's so much fun, but it's so energy consuming. I just crash, so it's nice to just be quiet and drive. For me, I really like it.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it with my sister. I used to go travel with her everywhere, and she has type 1 diabetes. And so Valerie's like, I can do the fans, I can do it all. But then at the end of the night, it is like in exchange to watch somebody like come down from doing this type of work. That's why I said artistry requires a lot of brain power
and physical power. I'm starting to treat it a little more like an athlete. And like, I used to go out a lot after my shows, and I would be like, why am I exhausted all the time? I really try, like, at the end of the night to start the bed process and get into bed. I mean, if I'm up and I'm watching Netflix, like whatever, but at least I'm in bed. But to at least give myself the opportunity, like, if you're ready to go to sleep, sleep, because it is really, it's physically,
it's
you're dancing, and you're
and
singing, and then you're meeting, and it's just like a lot, and you kind of forget until you get into bed, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can barely keep my eyes open,
Yeah. I do have one last question, because you've worked with some incredible people, from Halle Berry to Taylor Swift to Lady A. You have had some incredible partnerships, collaborations. What's been your most memorable experience with some of the people that you've collaborated with?
I forgot about Halle Berry. That's so cool. I have worked with a lot of like really like good actors and musicians, like successful people. And I have to say that like the really successful good ones that are around for a long time are really, really cool and really nice. And it does make me think that like I've met a lot of people that aren't. And I don't know if that's insecurity or whatever, but the ones that stick around always end up coming around to being like really nice, good people. And I think that's why they're there. Either they've been humbled and whatever it is, but Halle, Robert Downey Jr., like Taylor Swift, like these are people that like, I don't know, they
genuinely good people.
They're nice, and they're like professional, and they're fun, and they're like wonderful to be around. And I think like, that can't have nothing to do with it,
Yeah. It is interesting, because my grandmother used to say, pretty is as pretty does.
Wow, totally.
Yeah, and so I can see why somebody would have that longevity. I mean, Halle Berry even looks amazing. So.
It's crazy, and being supportive of people under, like Halle, for instance, was so complimentary of me and supportive of me, and we worked together a lot, and was always like, she was like that for the whole team, because we were on this TV show, and she was the star of the show, and she really made it about other people, which I thought was like, dang, if you ever had an opportunity to just be like, I'm Halle, like whatever, like they would be Halle Berry, and it wasn't like that, and I've tried to like really learn, because I want to be doing it forever, I don't want to like have to get another job or learn something else. Like I want to keep doing this and just keep getting better at this. And so I see people like that, and I'm like,
you keep saying stuff that makes me want to ask you more questions. When you say, I want to be doing this forever, I think that that's so profound, to really proclaim that you want to be in the entertainment industry forever. And I love it, because some people have no idea what they want to do for forever. What advice do you have for somebody who's like, I don't know what I want to do for forever?
I think it's like also a gift, because I think if you don't know, then it just means you get to do a lot of different things till you figure it out. The downside of me knowing this is I'm going to be doing a lot of this and not a lot of other things. So I think like try a lot of things. Like if you don't know and you're going into school, like revel in the fact that you're going to be an undeclared major. Like revel in the fact that you don't know. Like I was saying earlier with the universe and inspiration, something's going to come to you. Like you're good at something that other people aren't, and you don't know what that is yet. So what? Like you haven't met that teacher or that friend or seen that movie or heard that music that's going to make you go, this is what I want to do. And the answer to that doesn't have to be, this is what I want to do forever. Like, who knows? All it has to be is, this is what I want to do right now, you know? And do that for the period. Like Corey and I always say, it just works until it doesn't. Everything works until it doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
Even if something's going great and it's been going great for 20 years, it's going to stop going great at some point, and then something else is going to work until it doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
So just like find what's working now and do that until it stops working. And then just be like on the lookout for whatever's going to start working next, you know?
Yeah. Well, you guys, he is not related to the Hilton family, Paris Hilton and friends.
Dang.
But he has just been giving us so much legendary advice today. And I think everything that you do will carry on for generations, even through your children. And I think you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And the universe has placed you in all of our lives to help us remember that too. So thank you for coming to the Sweet House today. You guys go follow him on social media. Go check out his tour. He is going from city to city. Remember that he is also working on a children's album that will be out soon.
Yes.
Featuring his daughter, Winnie, and friends.
Yeah.
And we're just excited to see you continue to flourish in your career.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on.